Hi all, welcome to our monthly Q&A here at Indie Books, where we look at different aspects of lead generation, lead conversion. What do we do to get clients? How do we land them? And today we're talking about a new book that we're publishing, and I'm one of the co-authors. It's Bringing in the Business Without Sounding Like a Salesperson. This is the Galley Not for Resale proof copy. Lead author David Goldman. He's going to be speaking here at this group in June. I'm the second author, and Mark LeBlanc is the third author. That's my partner here at Indie Books International. He's written the book Growing Your Business, and he's a past president of the National Speakers Association. So a lot of people, when we refer to Mark, that's who we're talking about. And a lot of this came out of Mark's work. And David and I added to it, and it had never been in writing, so we wanted to get this intellectual property down. So I'm going to talk for 10 minutes on it, and then this is an open forum. Any question you have about any part of the publishing process, preparing a book, planning a book, publishing a book, promoting a book, all good. You can talk about any of those things. So today what we're talking about is I don't really believe in sales. I don't believe in lead conversion, converting prospects. I believe in enrolling. If we're professionals and we have this work to do, we're enrolling people. If you're in a medical profession like Alan, you're enrolling patients. Dan is a person who enrolls people to ghostwrite books or to publish or to use PR services. Doug certainly is somebody who enrolls people to be in Renaissance forum groups. So this is the idea, and think of it like a university. It's tacky if they take this sales mindset that we're gonna, always be closing and do this. And I've come out of the insurance industry, life insurance industry, where we train people how to sell life insurance at kitchen tables. So I know that side of the world. We're not in that world. All of us, we have a work to do. The book talks about, this is how you hold up your book, by the way, in case anybody takes a social media picture. You get your book and your face in the shot. What this book is about 4 conversations you have with prospects. And these conversations, when I learned them, were game changers. And I want to share them with you. The first enrollment conversation we call the attraction phase conversation. One thing I advise people to do is offer a strategy call. I call mine a book chat. You can have a book chat with me. It's a non-selling zone. I say that word. Non-selling zone, you can come talk. Also, if you attend a group like this, it's an attraction phase conversation. If you attend one of my workshops, it's an attraction phase conversation that happens throughout there. It's you being helpful, you being strategic, you being relentlessly helpful to people. That's what those conversations should be about. One of the things you should do to get more of those conversations is to offer them. I offer them on websites. I'll offer them now. If anybody would like a no-cost strategy call with me, it's called a book chat. Email me and I'll give you options for doing that. So we want you to be generous. As we say, as the scriptures say, the generous person will be rewarded with generosity. So people will be generous to you if you're generous with them. There comes a point, though, where you need to say, if you would like a meaningful conversation where I'm going to ask you some specific questions, and then I will give you an estimate in writing for what you want, I'm welcome to that. We can schedule it. So we advocate separating those 2 conversations. You can offer it at the one, but they get to choose if they want to have that or not. And in the book, we talk about we call it a meaningful conversation. And that's what we tell people it is. so they can have a meaningful conversation. Now, I have people on the first call who go, nope, don't need that conversation. I want to hire you now. And I will give a price range. Right now, I say 7,500 to 37,500, depending on how much you want and how much of the heavy lifting you're willing to do. And that's a true range. And then on the meaningful conversation, I'll say, I didn't mean to be vague on the first phone call. There's just certain things that I've got to ask you to develop this. And sometimes I'll joke. I said, sometimes I feel like a mechanic at the auto repair place that I got to ask you questions, and then I'll give it to you in writing. But we all want it in writing. I have a story about a woman who was a member of Vistage, the peer-to-peer CEO group. And I've done books for many Vistage chairs and many presidents of companies that are Vistage members. So I have a reputation around there. And she'd heard about me, had the conversation. She wanted to have that conversation where the attraction phase, strategy. And she said, I'm going to be in San Diego. That's where I live. I'm going to be at a conference at the Hyatt Hotel. Could you meet me at 5 o'clock in the lobby? We'll grab a beverage and we'll talk about this. So she flew from Kansas City. I go to the lobby. We have the attraction phase conversation. I give her all kinds of strategy on how she can have more impact and influence and more credibility with the book. And here's ways to make sure it's a book you're proud of and all that. She says, great, you're hired. And I said, no, I'm not. She goes, why not? I said, I'm just some guy you met in a bar. You need to have another conversation and get what I'm talking about in writing. She goes, oh, yeah. And I said, and then you want to have an opportunity to vet me with other people. Oh, yeah. I said, well, after that, we can do it. So then we had a meaningful conversation. I did that, figured out what she needed, gave her a cost in writing. And at the end of those, in the enrollment process, I say, you can decide if we have another conversation now. And let me give you my bat phone. Here's my cell. You can text or call me. And we can carve out 7 to 17 minutes where I can answer any question you have on this. That's the decision phase conversation, where people can make a decision. And they'll have clarifying questions for you about it. Okay? So then their decision is, I want to go with you. Great. There's one more conversation that has to happen, and that's the agreement phase conversation. You may have given them a discussion document after the meaningful conversation to lead them to the decision phase, but often you need to nail down things for your agreement. So this might be things that you would want to put into your agreement. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. I'm not going to give legal contractual advice on this call. However, I've hired many lawyers in my life, and in the book, I cover in that chapter, here are things you should consider for your agreement. In my past, I've been really good at the other phases, and I had problems in the agreement phase because I get so excited. I'm ready to work for people. And I just didn't nail down some of these things that you need to nail down and have a conversation about that and expectations. So if you're thinking, well, this sounds like too many conversations, sometimes, depending on how well people know you, the attraction phase might get blended into the meaningful, and the decision might get blended into the agreement. But know in your mind, you're going through those 4 steps to enroll someone into your work and whatever you do. We get compliments here because of how frank we are talking about money and time, how long something happens, what it takes, how much money. I break up what we do into 4 phases. There's the planning phase, the preparation phase, the publishing phase, the promotion phase, and we have agreements for all those. And We let people make decisions along the way. Oh, Alan was talking about, Alan, give everybody the title of that great talk of yours. I'm going to
What I
steal it.
talked about last night?
Yes.
5 decisions I wish I had never made, and one that changed my life forever for the better.
Oh, yeah, that's a good talk. So, yeah, I'm going to steal that sometime, Alan.
I know a
Variations of
guy is
that are
coming
my
after you.
7 biggest mistakes and a decision that I was really proud I made. So you can do variations of this, but people want to hear those things and those mistakes. So if you want to cover mistakes, oh, I got lots of those. Experience is what you get when you wanted something else. So in working on all this for the last 20 some years, I've gotten some experience along the way on what not to do on some agreements. Okay, but with that, I'd like to open it up. I suggest when you start, introduce yourself, who you are. It's not an elevator speech, but tell us your work, and if you're an author of a book, um, or if you're working on a book, what the book you are, just so people know who you are. Just that little shot. And then ask a question. These calls are for you also to get to know each other. Because unlike Lily Tomlin, who said, we're all in this alone, I believe we're all in this together. It's about relationships, and these calls are also about building relationships. And um, I suggest you go maybe link in with some people afterwards. And if something was good for you, have a side chat and feel free to communicate with each other in chat. So, any question to start us off?
Well, I'll go first since no one else is raising their hands.
From the great state of Minnesota, originally from the great state of New Jersey, my friend, Dan Janelle.
Hi, thanks. And part-time resident of San Diego, where I have delightful lunches with Henry and his wife and his daughter from time to time. I've written more than a dozen books, have been translated to 6 languages. Wiley has published a number of my books. I self-published a number as well, and I work as a ghostwriter for business professionals and healthcare professionals who want to build their brand. My latest book is about pickleball. Is this the way I do it, Henry?
That was
Thanks.
very good, Dan.
Thank you. I learned this. It was like down here, not good. It was put out in space, like no. Henry taught me, so thank you very much. I have 3 questions,
Okay.
2 about what you talked about, and they're in chat. Which topics should be covered in the initial stage, and which topics should not be covered? And where do you draw the line? Because, as a PR person and as a helpful person, which I'm sure most of us are on this call, we all want to give and give and give.
Yeah.
So when is giving too much?
Okay. So, the question I'm gonna answer is, what should you and should you not talk about on the first call, that attraction phase call? I like to use a simple formula. I'll give you this formula now. It was R&D, Robin duplicated. I've stolen it from someone else. 4 words: goal, GOAL, like goal. Okay, and then yes. Devin and I just signed up for some soccer season tickets, so goal was on my mind. Second was assets, assets. And these are intellectual property assets. We'll talk about it. The third is roadblocks, roadblocks. And 4 is others. So you want to monopolize the listening in the attraction phase phone call. And you do that by saying, well, tell me what your goal is. What are you trying to accomplish? And for whatever your service. So for me, I would say if you're, it's a year to 3 years from now, you're holding a copy of your book, you're proud of it. How is your life different? Tell me about that. And typically people tell me, oh, I have more credibility, I have more influence, I have more impact. Oh, and I have more right fit clients as a result of the book. Some variation of that. I let them say it, I write it down. And then 2, I said, let's talk about assets. I'm not talking about money or that. I'm talking about intellectual property assets. So I'll ask them, have you written blogs? Have you written articles? Do you speak? What do you do? That's something we could use in a book, and people will talk about it. So I write down what they've done. And then the third thing is I ask them about their roadblocks. And I'll say, Doug Sconard, roadblocks have never stopped you in your career. You found a way over them, under them, through them. And working with Doug on his book, oh my gosh, the way he's a roadblock buster. But I'm just saying that for people because if they're successful and they're talking to you, they've made it so far. They've done these things. But I said, but there's a reason we're talking today. There's a roadblock you see, and you want information about getting through that roadblock. What is it? Now, I used to show people how smart I was because after doing 1,000 of these interviews, the same things kept coming up again: time, money, belief, energy. But I got a lot more successful when I shut up and let them say it and write it down, what they said. Then the next thing is well, let me just recap this to make sure I heard you right. You said the goal is to get more credibility. You want more impact and influence. Your assets, you've done 30 blogs, you've done 50 podcasts, and you wrote an article for a magazine. Your roadblock is time to get this done and money. You're going to have to pay for some help, but you don't want to pay for a whole ghostwriter to get that. Did I get that right? Okay, that is key. You just proved to them that you were listening to them, not just waiting for them to quit talking, which is what a lot of people do. Yeah, okay. Well, I know I will tell you about the program. When the man who taught me this, he said, I can't help it. It's really good if you, at this point in the interview, you told them what they said. And I said, okay. I said, let me tell you what you just said. And I read it back to you. And he goes, wow, I knew it was coming and it's powerful. And their words, you write down their words, not your interpretation of their words. Okay. Then you say, would you like me to tell you how people have gotten from where you are right now to where you want to go? Well, yes. You prove your credibility by telling a story in under 2 minutes of somebody like them who got what they wanted. I have a quiver of them. Telling one is always enough. And then people go, okay, this is real. So Dan, what you don't talk about is don't start to solve their problem on the call. Don't give them specifics on, oh, well, you could do this, or that could happen there, or, a good title for the book would be this, or anything like that. I've made that mistake a lot of times. I get excited. So that's the other thing you don't want to do is kill anybody's dreams on the first call because you think you're helping them and you're going to give them a shot of reality. Not the time for the shot of reality. Just the time to get them saying like, okay, this is a person who could take me from A to B. They have the skills. And then you say, and I'll answer any questions. I tell them that they can ask me any questions, and I will answer specific questions to the best of my ability. And then at the end, I say, so thanks for having the call. Your next option, because sometimes they'll say, what's the next step? Or what do we do? I said, oh, well, next step is a meaningful conversation. So there's what I recommend you talk about and what I recommend you don't talk about in that call. Devin, glad you're here. Also, Devin, if you could monitor chat, because you know how I like to chat and misreading what the chat says. Is there another question?
Henry, can I just clarify what you just said? Would
Please,
you like,
Dan.
I want to get the wording right. Would you like to hear a story about
How someone got from where you are today to where you want to go? Because based on, I'll say things, Dan, like, okay, based on the limited amount of information I have here with your goal and what you're doing, would you like may I tell you, I also call this others, how another person got from where you are to where you want to go. Well, yeah, that's what I want to hear. What did they do?
What if they want to
So,
have a meaningful a conversation? So how can you help me? Which takes it to the next conversation. Would you not have
yeah,
that
that would be
conversation?
I'm happy to have that conversation. We'll have to schedule it. This was a strategy only call. It was a non-selling zone. But if you'd like, what I'll need to do in that conversation, I'm going to have to ask you some specific questions, and then I'll formulate. As I said, the range is from 7,500 to 37.5. I'll give you specifics from that and give it to you in writing that day.
Okay, thank you. I have other questions, but let's other people go, and if there are more questions, I can follow up. Thanks.
I saw, is it pronounced Jelaine?
Julaine, yes.
Hi, Jelaine.
Hi, everyone. I'm a corporate high performance coach. So I think it's kind of a human instinct that in that first conversation, people are going to still try when you get to, oh, you can ask me, any questions. I'm happy to answer them. And they're going to try and get the why and the how out of you, right?
Mhm.
That we're not supposed to. So do you have any particular, because you're always such a nice guy with how you deliver your information. So what's your nice guy approach for not giving away what you're not supposed to be giving away?
Thank you for saying that. I'm trying to stay in rapport. And as long as you don't insult me, we'll stay in rapport to the best of my ability on a call. So I'm going for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So there are phrases that I can say if it's they want too much on there, I'll say, oh, I wish I could cover that. That's a longer conversation. I can give you something high level. I like to be helpful. So my guiding principle is be relentlessly helpful on the call. And that's how it's like sampling at Costco, should I have that blue cheese? I don't know. Let's have a sample of it. Okay, well, that's good. Oh, gorgonzola, no thanks. So the sampling helps. So you're just being helpful, but we're not doing a high performance coaching call right then.
Right. Okay.
Does that help?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
Was there another hand, or should we go to Dan's question? Everybody deep in thought. Dan, you're up.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy. I hate monopolizing things. That's not me. I have two questions. I'm going to ask a general question first.
Okay.
I do have another follow-up question for you. I have a client, worked with her last year, wrote a great book called How to Reduce Parkinson's Symptoms Through Exercise. Great book. It's going to help a lot of people. Interviewed dozens of case studies, interviewed doctors, researchers, a lot of credibility for this book. Book came out about 2 months ago. My client looked on Amazon yesterday and saw that some physical therapist came out with a book with the exact identical title. No research, no nothing, just her perspective as a PT. What would you do if someone came out with the exact same title and was obviously trying to steal your sales? I don't know what to tell her.
Well, titles cannot be copyrighted.
Right.
Many books have the same title. Usually they differentiate by the subtitle.
Mm-hmm.
And the subtitle are in the parlance of keyword phrases. Your subtitle needs to be keyword rich. So when people search on the topic in Amazon and other places, it comes up. So I advise that subtitles be the who and the outcome. Now, Dan, in Midwest parlance, the horse is already out of the barn on this one. You've already published the subtitles out there. God, I grew up on a farm. I'm more rural than you are. So I know. Okay, so seriously, what do we do then? It's called the Google War. So you need to get articles about the book and other placements and things that show up. So when somebody Googles the topic, as one publisher told me, I want to see 5 pages of hits on Google.
Hmm.
And I have a joke about how most people approach this. If you ever kill somebody and you want to hide the body, put it on page 2 of a Google search because nobody looks there. So so you get deep and many things on there. And there's all these things that we can do with social media to get hits with our title and our subtitle. So I think that's where I would try to win the war.
Okay. Devin, would you put those articles on LinkedIn or on your website or both, since you're our LinkedIn expert?
I would say both. You would probably, especially in this case where, like Henry said, you're trying to get as many different hits as possible to have it rise above the other book of the same title. So I would probably do a mix. LinkedIn is really good if it's a brand new website too that doesn't really have traffic going to it. It's a good place to start because you already have the built-in kind of network of LinkedIn. But over time, you would still also be wanting to build up content on your own site.
Great. Does Google index LinkedIn articles?
They do, yes.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. In addition to Google articles, Dan, we have found a lot of traction with doing a LinkedIn newsletter. And this is a feature on LinkedIn where you get to name your newsletter. So my newsletter is Agency Rainmaker, and my TV show is Agency Rainmaker TV. And I wrote the book Rainmaker Confidential. Devin and I are coming out with the book The Agency Rainmaker. So with that LinkedIn newsletter, just taking our content, recycling it every week. In a year, I have 2,100 subscribers. I did no campaigns for subscribers. So there's a lot of legs to that. And then it's also putting my titles out onto Google. Now that the titles, we tend to try to do curiosity gap titles. So there's always things like, and if you want to know how to do these, look at my titles. But the smart move agency owners are making that cost nothing. So we didn't say 3 ways to do this or something like that. We're doing something where people go, "Oh, what is that? What is that?" To Alan's the 7 mistakes I wish I never made. Okay, what are those mistakes? So you get people's curiosity into that. That helps get people to actually click on the article. The other thing we found is to get people who will comment during the first hour your post goes up, and to get a lot of comments, the LinkedIn algorithm sees that and goes, "Oh, something good's happening here," and they boost it out to other people on LinkedIn. And it really helps you have a target audience. Like that Parkinson disease book. I mean, yeah, people will want to see that. And my wife Vicky was involved in some of that treatment, taking people with Parkinson's disease, little old ladies, for boxing lessons.
Yeah.
And how that was really helping them. Something like, what? Things that make you say, what? Little old ladies taking boxing lessons? But it works.
Yeah. The guy who started that had Parkinson's. He was a lawyer and he was a boxer in his younger days. So he started boxing. They have 9,000 franchises now. 9,000. Amazing.
So
Yeah. Thanks. Great
something's
advice.
working there and helping a lot of people.
Totally.
Great. Any other questions? Yes, John O'Brien, introduce yourself, please, and state your question.
So, hi, I'm John O'Brien. I'm a psychologist by training based in Portland, Maine. I'm a budding professional speaker and executive coach, and I'm fresh meat for Henry. Signing on the title of my book. Can I say the title of my book, even though it's tentative?
Yes.
Okay. Tentative title is Rudeness Rehab, reclaiming civility in a stressed out and angry world. So we'll see. We'll see how much reclaiming we can all do.
You got
Um,
applause from Dan there, which is high praise.
Oh, okay, good. So nice to meet all of you, and I look forward to learning, with and from you. But here's my question, which is I'm coming from the mental health world where we give away a lot for free. And so I've been coached as I make this transition to don't give things away for free. So I'm hearing your conversation and I get it, and I get how this can be useful. But my specific question is, do you set specific time limits, like setting the intention of, oh, we'll have a 30-minute or a 15-minute conversation about this or that, just so people are clear that it's not going to be endless? Thank you.
Yes. So one of my clients was an attorney and family law attorney. And I helped her double her revenue in a year with this strategy. Because she said, well, Henry, unlike your other clients, people want to milk me for free information. I said, oh, okay. Unlike my other clients, got it. And then she goes, and I know you want me to give seminars. And if I gave a public seminar and the husband walked in one door and the wife walked in the other about the how to divorce your mate seminar, we would have the divorce right there. I said, okay, I got it. So what we had her offer, I said, okay, when people call you up now, say, well, we have an option to talk to Mary. The first option is Mary charges $350 an hour. So what we do is when you come in, we take your credit card, we swipe it, and then if you're there an hour, it's $350. If it's 2 hours, it's $700. You decide. Or if you and your spouse are willing to come in together, Mary will give you a private 20-minute seminar on the differences between litigation, mediation, and collaboration in divorce. A lot of people don't know that they've had bad things happen because of divorce, such as thieves found out information about them they used. Judges made arbitrary decisions on dividing property. Some people have lost their government security clearances because of the divorce. And a lot of people don't know that mediation and arbitration is 10 times cheaper than fighting litigation. And so she did that. And half the people wanted to pay her money and gave her a credit card. And even people, she said, I'd never know where they'd come up with the money. And I would tell them how much it would be to fight and get custody of children. And they found the money. Other people said, oh no, this other thing, 20 minutes, no cost, briefing, sounds good. So she put a time limit on that and was relentlessly helpful, but had some patter that she would give to educate them in the 20 minutes. And then interesting, I'm getting in details here, but it's a good one. I loved Mary because when they came in, she gave them a questionnaire before the 20-minute seminar. One of the questions was, would you consider reconciliation? And she said, I actually knew by where they sat in the conference room if they were going to get divorced or not. But I went through the 20 minutes with everybody. But if they both checked reconciliation, I said, you don't need a divorce attorney. You need a marriage counselor. Here's a list of 3 marriage counselors that are local that I've met and you could choose from. If that doesn't work out, then, tell me, we can have that next conversation. She didn't call it the meaningful conversation back then. We didn't even have that term, but that would be her next meaningful conversation would be, they would be like, nope, we want to do that mediation thing. Where do we sign? How much does it cost? Does it come in red? Can we start Tuesday? Those are called buyer signal questions when people are asking you those. So we could adapt it to our world. And that's how that goes. So there are limits, John. Great question. You get to choose the parameters. I choose the time on the book chats. I used to do 30 minutes. People were rushed. I do 45 now. And there's some screening. And then as we've gotten more popular, because, oh my gosh, all this stuff we teach and we've been doing has worked. we're growing. Devin has been trained to do a lot of the first attraction phase conversations. And then she's able to offer, oh, well, this sounds very important. This sounds good. Let me get you know, if you'd like, I'll get you on Henry's calendar for a meaningful conversation. And then, you know, I'm not like aloof or what do you call that? Arrogant that I'm too busy to meet with you. I said, oh, Devin's told me a lot about your situation. Let me go through these questions. And people feel good about that. So those are just things you put in as you grow. And darn it, a lot of people like talking to Devin better than me, but that's the downside there. Devin's going, no, no, no. I've heard you, Devin. You're good. You're great. Any other questions that we can help for the good of the order? We've got 7 minutes. Doug, go ahead.
Doug Stoddard. I've been running manufacturing companies for over 20 years. And then I got into running peer groups for chief executives, which I've done for 28 years. So I know a lot about running organizations, basically, and you know they were successful. The title of my book is Induce Change, and I have that domain name. And it's all about how you can, you know, get organizations or people to change. And Henry kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, where he said instead of telling people, you ask questions. And so that's a, you know, big essence of the induced change process. So my question is, I want to put up that website, and if you have recommendations for people who are good for putting up websites for authors, I would imagine that that's a specialty of sorts.
Devin, do you want to cover that? We have the specialist on the call, Doug.
Okay, I've seen Devin before, so let's hear it.
Hi, Doug. Yes, so that is something that we do in-house. If you'd like, we can help you with that. Our kind of philosophy is, you know, the book website supports your business. So a lot of times what we do is a pretty straightforward kind of one-page website design. So we don't really think you need, you know, really expensive website to get all about what you need out of it. Because basically it's a calling card for getting people interested in the book and speaking and things related to the topic. So we would be happy to chat more about that offline, but yeah, we have a whole, you know, library of websites now that you can look at to see kind of how different authors have done it. But
Devin, let's talk about some of the menu items that we found work and we recommend, including the resources page, please.
Yeah, so for most sites, it's, you know, a little bit about the book, about the author. And then usually there's something, either your speech topics, or some people have services. So either speaking or services, contact information, and then the resources is a way to start building that content library. So kind of what Dan was alluding to earlier, because that will help with the search results and driving traffic to your site, to have, you know, some articles, some videos. It's something that grows over time, but it's also a place that you can start building your email list, which would be really important, especially if you're launching the site prior to the book launch. So you can offer a resource that they get for free if they, you know, all they have to do is give you their email. And then that way you can build a list. So then by the time you're ready to launch the book, you have an opt-in list or a larger opt-in list to send out the announcements to. So we've seen that be a really great strategy for authors to build their network as the book launches.
I can definitely move, as quick as, tomorrow, but one of the main things I want to achieve with the website is I'd like it to be where people who read the book and people who come to the website and read the materials, they use the information I provided. I'd like to hear their stories. And over time, I think I might be able to have enough information to run another book. That's kind of where I'm going with that.
Well, Doug, we're working with one of our authors who's already has a book. We're setting her up now with a series of, we call them TV shows, but they're YouTube videos that are also podcasts for Spotify and iTunes. And she's interviewing people in the field, and the transcripts will be used to help her write the book, because then she has interviews with her target audience. I said, you might as well do it this way and get promotion out of it. So you also might want to think, you might go with a multi-page website and videos or one area there, and you can put your videos up there. And as you're talking to people, there's an understanding that you'll do this for your research, for your other books and articles. And people agree to be on it for publicity, so they like that. Go ahead.
I have another website called President's Portal that it's up, but I need to fix it, so it's more and connected to the induced change. And then another one called Motivator is a domain name that I have that I might do something with. So I may do multiple websites too.
Well, here's a business tip, if I can give it to people, is we're going to celebrate our 10th anniversary in less than 30 days here at Indie Books. And along the way, we've been listening to what people wanted. We didn't sit around one day and said, we should offer websites. It was people kept asking us, where can I get a website done? And then we'd send them places and they go, okay, let me rephrase it. Where can I get an affordable website done? Because there were people who do very expensive, elaborate, wonderful e-commerce websites and all that. And that's not what authors needed. So Devin came up with the multi-page or the one-page website. So what is that in your world? What do they keep asking you about? Short story to illustrate. For my wife's 25th wedding anniversary, I bought a custom necklace in New York City. One of my authors was a jewelry designer, and she sold me this necklace for the 25th anniversary, but she said, here's the necklace. And I'm holding it. I'm going, well, that's no presentation. So I go down to Macy's and I asked to buy a box to put a necklace in. They said, we don't sell those. So I said, okay, where might I go buy one? He goes, you're on 34th Street. This is Jewelry Row. Go talk to them. So I talked to a jewelry store owner who came out. Can I help you? And I said, yes, I don't need to buy jewelry today. What I need to do. And I described the box. And he says, oh boy. He goes, every day, someone like you comes in and they ask to buy a box like that. And we don't sell boxes like that. And I was thinking like, oh boy, I'm late for the airport. I don't have time to explain to him that maybe you should sell boxes like everybody's asking for. And then they'll do that. We had six of our authors meet separately from me. They elected a spokesperson, and the spokesperson came to meet with me to say, it's nice that you tell us where to go for the following services. We want you to offer those services. We would trust you more and we would pay you money. And I was thinking like, okay, I don't need a message. I don't need a brick from the universe falling on my head. But they had to form a committee and elect a spokesperson to get me to actually sell them things like websites. So what is that in your world? Okay, well, I see we're out of time. Thank you for showing up. We do this monthly. We encourage you to come. We encourage you to meet other authors. hear what they're doing and pick things up and to network. Relationships. If there's one word for success in this business, it's relationships. Dan and I have had a relationship for years. Doug and I have been forming one, and other people with our authors. And it's just so important to get people promoting each other and amplifying each other's work. So that's what we're about. John, I'm going to see you in Vegas. Dinner got moved to Friday night, if you got that, okay. So and we've got some good people coming there to meet. And if you want to be a success in your area, hang out with successful people. So we'll put that together. Thanks, everybody. And if you want to book chat, just ask. Always happy to have a strategic call with you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right.
I need to turn off the recording.